Welcome back, wooers.
Wooed up,
Wooed up.
wooed up.
We are back for season 2.
Season 2, gang, gang.
And this is Kayla,
And that's Tiffany, and we'll be your hosts for this incredible season.
where we talk about spirituality and bringing it down to reality.
I know that's right, honey. And who are we sponsored by this season?
We're sponsored by House of Rhythm. Ooh. These beautiful mics come from them. We sound so lovely.
Crispy. We're super excited to be sponsored by House of Rhythm this season. They're an incredible yoga studio and wellness space in San Antonio. Tiff has had the luxury of offering there. I've had the luxury of offering there. They are a wonderful, incredible space.
And attending there. And I know that we're all looking for a healing space where everyone feels welcome. You show up however you are, whatever stage you're in, and that is definitely a space for that.
Hell yeah. That's why I'm super excited to be sponsored by House of Rhythm. We're definitely going to be talking about all of the magic that happens there in that space. So while you guys watch this season and you're wondering how and why we sound so good, just know it's courtesy of them.
We hope you enjoy this season. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for being here.
We'll see y'all soon. Boop, boop. I'm excited for this topic.
What is the topic?
We are talking about systems in our current 3D reality.
Systems in our current 3D reality, like our real world.
Yeah.
Real world, but also like our own personal systems.
Yes, exactly. Because it's all one and the same, really. And our personal systems typically stem from the systems that are around us and how those have been planted inside our minds from as early as the womb space.
Before, like ancestral.
It is ancestral.
Actually, as you just said that, I just kind of like, as with everything, but our systems that are in place today in the 3D world, like our monetary systems, our banking system, our religious systems, our political systems, is a reflection, direct reflection of our collective conscious.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm like, I don't know, is my internal systems really reflect, like, does it really reflect on the external world? And I'm like, maybe not necessarily, because I've like tried to remove myself from that. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to like be someone ushering in a new systems and whatnot. But right. That is a direct reflection of our collective consciousness. All those systems that have been in place that we've all agreed to for however long now.
Right. What consciously or unconsciously.
Right. I mean, think about time construct, time system, and how many different time zones we have, but also like our, what is it called? Daylight savings times.
Right.
And how like now we've got like Mexico who stopped agreeing to it. So they're stuck in like the hour ahead or behind, like where it's stays darker longer.
Right.
But now up here in the US, we're still doing it. And we're all like separate. And then like even Indianapolis is not doing it. So it's just like, we've all agreed to that. Or like, it's now the fact that it's all like all over the place and in flux and different is a direct reflection of how, as a society, a lot of us are like, it needs to change, but it's not been a full implementation.
It's also with the idea that, what was the reason why that system was put in place in the first place? There are so many systems that have been put in place way, way, way back in the day, and we don't need those systems anymore. So if we're utilizing daylight savings, the reason why why that was even created in the first place was for farmers.
Yeah. And miners.
And miners, right? Yeah. And so
the industrial peoples.
Exactly. And now with our technology, it's not as necessary. So the fact that we're continuing to perpetuate systems that we really don't need, and there are other communities that are like, well, no, we don't need that anymore, so they're breaking those systems down. I think that is a beautiful example of a smaller system that impacts us on such a large scale. And if we utilize that same idea across all of the systems that we have in place in society, then we would be able to actively make changes in accordance to what actually serves the collective.
Yeah. And I think about, an astrologer, so I'm going to keep referencing astrology and the fact that Pluto is an Aquarius and it's going to be an Aquarius for the next few decades. And Pluto is a planet that shines light on our shadows and on the dark places a lot of people aren't willing to look at. And Aquarius is all about technology and all about systems and structures and what is best for humanity. Mm-hmm. And so I think that right there, the correlation that we can see already happening is the surge of AI and the surge of like cryptocurrency. And I do think both of those things are going to continue to grow because those systems serve humanity on a much greater level, especially like if you think about like crypto or different types of banking systems that might come about. I mean, we still have a few decades to go through this, but it's like what type of systems, and it's not just Pluto and Aquarius is not just going to be like monetary or technology. It's going to be other systems as well, such as like religious systems and political systems we can see are already crumbling. And it's super uncomfortable because when things do start to shift or when you're wanting to usher in something new and it's that big, then something that big has to crumble and change. And just like we were talking on our last episode, like people aren't comfortable with the change. People want to stay in what's comfortable, even if that means doing the same shit that's not in your best interest. Right. And same for like not in the best interest of humanity. And so I do think that, I mean, I think personally I need to look a little bit further or talk a little bit more kind of like in my own world, in my own self about like how is AI better for humanity and how is like maybe crypto better for humanity. I do think a different banking system is going to be better for humanity, but whether or not that's crypto, I'm not sure. AI, I do think can be good for releasing us from the 9-to-5 jobs so that we can then be in our essence and in our creativity, which is what we were here to do. So it's like ditch the 9-to-5, give that to AI, and then find me outside in nature and creating, which is what I think we all desire to do.
Yeah. I think with anything, there are pros and cons. There's good and bad. And so when we're thinking about the systems that are currently in place, we should be mindful of what was the intention behind those systems? How do those systems still continue to serve us? Who do they continue to serve? And who is disenfranchised by those systems?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that one's powerful.
And so when we're thinking about why spirituality and the self-growth and self-development journey is so important, if we are able to find our full grounded connection in truth, in love for ourselves and for others, we are then able to start making changes in accordance to those truths and continue to knock away those systems that no longer serve us in our own personal lives, through our own choices, through our own belief systems. And so if enough people come together on that same journey, on that same path, we then have power in numbers. We then have the people who can lead those changes, the people that can become elected into office to support those changes.
Sorry, were you? You're fine, okay. That's such a powerful statement right there, and like a few grounding questions to like really bring it back to our episode we just recorded about change and how like it all starts with you.
Yeah.
It all starts with like, are you willing to question your own beliefs? Mm-hmm. Are you willing to question your own systems? Are you willing to question your own habits and why you do certain things the way you do them, or why you behave a certain way, or why you don't do things?
Yeah.
And it's like that, if you're not willing to question yourself, then you can't begin to really question the systems. Absolutely. I feel like. Because if you're going to question the systems, then you need to have some idea of what would work in place of those systems. And hopefully you're going to be bringing about ideas that are what you think is best for you and thus humanity as well.
Right. You have to be anchored in some sort of, when I use the word truth, I mean What
authenticity.
exactly? Like, what is your guiding force?
Your truth is your authenticity.
Yeah.
And being willing to go into the depths of yourself to find out who are you authentically. And I think that's a lifelong journey. So it's like, it's just the start to question it. Like, who am I? What are my beliefs? And then being able to bring that outside of yourself. Like, are these people aligned with me? Are these habits aligned with me? Are these places still aligned with me? And then you're able to like have enough grounding in your truth that you can bring it to like systems.
Yeah, I think when you really step into who you are and by knowing who you are, then determining what it is that you actually want, that's where the change begins. There was a conversation that I was having with someone back when I was working at the restaurant, and he was yelling for runners and yelling like, hey, I need runners, da da da. And you know me, I'm just a girl. I'm a sensitive girl. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, babe, like.
Was it someone that said hands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was like, hey, I'm here. I'm happy to help. But like, can we be mindful in the way that we ask for this level of support? And his response was like, well, that's just how the world is. The world is like that. I'm like, okay. But that's not how I am. So I'm not going to speak to someone in that way. And by us having this conversation right now, are you now starting to consider like maybe there's a different way that you go about speaking to people? And if you decide to adopt that mentality of like, I'm going to become more mindful in how I talk to people, then maybe the people that you speak to are going to see that and feel that, and they're going to recognize, wow, you can run a kitchen without being screamed at. And so if they decide to go somewhere else and, the kitchen manager is yelling at them, they're like, hey, no, I know it's possible to work in a restaurant, in a kitchen, and know that I don't have to be yelled at in order for the person to get whatever it is that they need from me as a team member. And either does not accept that behavior or also has a conversation with that chef and is saying, hey, what if we work on our approach? We, in our everyday life, have the ability to ripple into the lives of other people. And through our ownership of self, through connecting in with our own power, our own value systems, and speaking to those, it can make an unfathomable amount of change just in one conversation that you have with one person. So when we talk about, oh, well, this is just how the world is, that may be how your world is. That's not how my world is, number one. And number two, just because that is the way that your world operates does not mean that it's right or that it has to. So when we think as a collective society, oh, the world may be operating in a way that's no longer in alignment with what it is that we truly want as a collective, then the onus is on us to start to actively change those systems by any means necessary. We're being a part of that through our work, whether that's through this podcast, whether that's through your coaching or my coaching, through our group offerings and education. That is how we are showing up in society, actively trying to create the change. For someone who works a 9 to 5, it can be the conversations that you have with a coworker. For a parent, it can be how it is that you're raising your children. As a friend, it can be how am I showing up in this relationship to not only support myself, but also to support my friends and ushering in that new world. We all have the ability to create change, especially when it comes to our social climate and what's going on right now with the protests and the riots and immigration. I think you and I both stand where we stand firm in that no land belongs to anyone, truly. I mean, if we really want to go into it, the land is owned by the people who were originated here first. But now with all of the the systems in place, and also simultaneously, like I'm mixed, right? But I am part Black, and my ancestors were brought here. Here is now my home because of the slave trade. And that can certainly become the case. I mean, we have so many people that have immigrated here trying to escape all of the craziness going on in their home country. Here is now home. And I believe that the land truly belongs to the people that are living in it, seeking refuge and trying to support others through it. And so when we're thinking about this conversation of immigration, we're thinking about, okay, from a true sense of understanding of I am you, you are me, creating policies that align with that. And then the fact that policies are not actually aligning with that currently, what can we do as people in order to nudge that needle over? And so you're seeing people step into their power when it comes to these protests or these riots, attempting to be a part of the change. Then you'll have some people who go into office and they'll be a part of policy implementation, right? But it starts with you. If you want something to change, I love the saying, be the change you wish to see in the world.
I was just going to say that because I know, one, that you used to have it on your Instagram profile. And I did. Still do.
Not anymore.
But that's exactly what it is. And I think, again, it's funny that you mentioned the restaurant example, because on the last episode, I was thinking of the same person who was like, well, the world's a dark place. And it's like, it doesn't have to be a dark place if you accept it for a dark place. And so you think that that is a reason for you to keep showing up in your darkness and despair and sadness and whatever it might be on repeat, then yes, your world will continue to be a dark place unless you choose to see the light and allow other light to come into your life. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying, I think since I was like in high school for decades now, about how like I don't understand the borders. Like I don't get how we can be like, this is the border right here and you can't come in. And I'm glad that a lot more people are agreeing with me and at least speaking out about it, because I did feel so alone about that for so long. Like I was the weird one. But it's like, if we're declaring that these borders are here and in place because there's systems in place that you must clear and processes that you must proceed through in order to become a citizen here or to seek asylum here, then like, why are people in the court system doing what they're supposed to be doing according to these processes that we created as humanity? They're showing up to their court hearings and then they're getting ripped out of their court hearings. These people are the ones that are actually trying to follow the processes and systems that are in place. But then you're going to just decide that they get to be taken, be handcuffed and placed wherever, displaced wherever they're at. And so it's like, again, checking in, who are these systems in place for? Why are they in place?
And are they actually doing what it is that they're supposed to be doing?
And great question. I do think, and I hope that people realize that a lot of our systems that are in place are actually working the way that they're meant to work. They actually are doing what they were implemented for. Yep. They're keeping the people powerless, especially people of color. And it's like, it is modern day prison, or mm-hmm. modern day slavery, I mean, including our prison system. And so it's like really getting clear and fresh and questioning things like, why is this here? What is the purpose of this? And once you are able to start questioning not only yourself, but then the systems, then that's when we can start to rebuild together to be like, mm-hmm. okay, and hopefully you're realizing or wanting to rebuild for the greater good of humanity. And you're not somebody that wants to only look out for yourself,
right?
And vote for like what's best in your financial interest and whatnot. And I do think times are a changin', but I'll keep my comment to myself, what I always used to say. But
I want to know what your comment is.
I just always, I used to be super political and I would speak out all the time on Instagram and all the time in conversations with friends, with family, and definitely coming from Ohio, I had family members that are definitely in disagreement with me for a multitude of reasons. But my saying was, I cannot wait until all of these old white men die off. And white women too. And I'm a white woman. And I hate to say that. I really do hate to say that. But like, I've sat and I've looked at it. Mm-hmm. And I've seen what we're doing as white people. Mm-hmm. I've witnessed it. I hear it. Now more than ever. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm not even political, I'm like, wow, everything that I like was preaching when I was political is literally staring at us point blank in the eyes. And it is so raw and it's so real and it's so disgusting.
That's where that becoming able to question policies and ideas, why that is so important. We learn in history, propaganda and how other countries were utilizing propaganda, specifically Germany, when it came to becoming like anti-Jew, and all the propaganda that was spread throughout Germany in order to get the citizens on board for what then occurred. And that same thing has occurred throughout all of our history within the United States. And you have people that are voting against their best interests based off of ideology that doesn't actually serve them. We can think about our current administration and people who voted for the current president of the United States who thought that I'm going to do this and it's going to make the economy better and it's going to serve me so that I can live a more financially comfortable life. And instead of that being the case, we are seeing all the other detriment that's occurring from that. Yeah. But people did not either realize that when they were submitting their votes, and they were under the impression that the person that they were voting for was actually in service to them, and lo and behold, that wasn't actually the case. And I think that when it comes to white women especially who are voting like their husbands, it's almost like a 2-for-1,
Yeah, and I think that also goes along with what I mentioned in the religion episode about how, I think I mentioned this in the episode, I know we've talked about it before, but it's about how like the white people don't question why they are in the religion that they are in and why they practice the way that they practice and where did that religion come from and those practices come from. I think that is another huge thing that and it's been like erased and we don't question it. And a lot of people are like, well, why do you do that during your practice? And where does that come from? And I think, I don't know, if you go back on the history of religion and the Christianity movement, you can see how it was all wiped away. And I think it's hand in hand. It's like, we don't question the systems that have never been oppressive to us. I mean, don't get me wrong. The systems have been oppressive to women, of course, and very recently as well. But as a white woman, like not as bad as women of color. So it's just like until you start to question what is best for you and humanity, you don't really see it unless you've been experiencing that oppression.
Exactly. And that's where having empathy and being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes becomes so important. And it's funny that on the topic of racism, for example, you have white people, for example, who live out in the rural areas of Texas who don't believe that racism is a real thing or that it occurs, or police brutality. Let's say that, police brutality, for example. But how is Billy Bob Joe, who is best buddies with the local sheriff, and his wife, Sandy, bakes pies for the sheriff, and the sheriff's wife bakes pies for Billy Bob Joe and his family. How is he supposed to think and believe that police brutality is real when that is not their current reality? Just because that's not your current reality does not mean that does not erase the fact that these things are occurring for other people. Myself personally, I have been pulled over and by police maybe 3 times in my life. And 2 out of those 3 times had a gun drawn on me.
Oh my God.
Both times. 2 times out of the 3. One, I was with my best girlfriend, Jordan Monique Todd, shout out. And she is mixed as well. And we were in the car and walked up to the driver's seat with the gun pointed in her face. And we were probably like 20 at the time, maybe 19 or 20. I mean, that was a scary moment. And people can hear that story and be like, oh, well, what did you do? What did you do? Baby, we were going like
5 over.
30 and a 35. And
not even speeding?
Not even speeding, no. And there was construction. And we were slowing down and the officer was like flailing his hands. And so we were slowing down. And then he draws his gun and approaches us and says, I thought that you guys were going to hit me. Like with the car. We're sober. I think we had just gotten back from like BJ's or something, or we were on our way to BJ's. We just left our job, which was an ice cream shop at the time. So like, and mind you, like really, you know, and we submitted a case on that man because we were like, this is absolutely ridiculous. If this is how this man were to treat us, God only knows who else he would treat in that way. And so I can say from my own personal experience, even a situation where we had done nothing wrong, and we certainly did nothing wrong, because if we would have, we would have been locked up and put away, right?
Or shot at.
And it's unfortunate because people get shot at or locked up and put away for far lesser things, even if they didn't do anything wrong. But for anyone that listens and is like, oh, well, he thought you were going to hit him. Well, if he thought that we were going to hit him, then I'm sure that he would have charged us with attempted manslaughter, you know, which is crazy because that totally could have been our reality if the man decided to.
Yeah, I think this hand in hand, you know, I could do a whole season on my issues with the policing system and my personal experiences with it as well. I know they're not as bad as yours, but it's so fucked, our policing system. I also think it goes hand in hand with our electoral system.
Absolutely.
And especially like our local systems and our court systems. We in Texas, we elect our judges. And so it's like, who can rub shoulders with the right people and collect the most amount of money to get themselves elected? And time again, where the judges, and this is coming from, I was an attorney in the litigation system for 9-10 years. The judges that are in there are not there ruling on what the law is. They're ruling in a way so that they can keep their job and keep the people that elected them and paid for them to be elected, essentially, in that seat. And so it's all, and then take that example, and it goes all the way up to the president of the United States. And our whole entire judicial system, legislative system, executive system, local, state, federal, all of it. It's all a fucking problem, just like the policing system. It's the same thing. And it all needs to be crumbling down, and it is, and it's uncomfortable. But it's like these systems are not in place for humanity. They're in place for the upper echelon of people that have the most amount of money so that they can keep the most amount of money.
Sustain power.
Exactly. And it's all about power. And that is, yeah, I mean, just to bring it back, because before you mentioned the police stuff, you were talking about like who our president is now and people voting for him and thinking that they were going to get one thing, and now look what's going on. And it's like the whole system, whether it is this person or this person, red or blue, that we're voting for, that whole two-party system in and of itself is the problem.
Right.
It's not even, I mean, yes, the people that play the puppeteers for the rich and for the people that put them in office, yes, they're not, great people, but like, they're not even the ones that are doing the damage. It's always the follow the money. Follow the money. There's so much going on behind the scene that we don't realize, that we actually think that we're in charge of. So it's not like, questioning of the people that are on behalf of the system. It's the system itself. And if the system itself is allowing these types of people, whether it be the president of the United States or the police officer that thought it was okay to behave like that, if we are allowing these people to serve as peace officers, I mean, that's literally what police officers are supposed to be, or peace officers, or as political constituents. I think that's the right word. Why do these people think that they can behave the way that they behave and do the things that they do? And it's because we've allowed a system to perpetuate that's saying it's okay.
I appreciate you taking something small scale and making it big. And I want to make it small again. If we're going to utilize the police system as an example, this idea like ACAB, all cops are bad. And of course, not all police officers are bad. Not every police officer that signs up for that job does so with the intention or desire to, shoot at unarmed people or continue to perpetuate what the system has put in place. But when you think about what it means to be a police officer serving in that sort of container where other police officers have been maintaining that system, what happens to the police officers that have a good heart, or that their intention is coming from the right place, and they see something that's being done, whether it be inappropriate behavior, whether it be right out violent? What do? What can they do? And if they do something or say something, what then happens to them? And at that point in time, it's not just what happens to them, what happens to their family? How are they going to be able to continue to provide for their family?
There's so many stories. There's so many stories that I've personally heard throughout my lifetime of police officers getting stationed wherever, going through the academy, and being told that they do have to do certain things or else they're not going to have a job. Mm-hmm. And these officers have worked so hard to become, what they think is going to be something that's stand up and helping society and finally making, their dreams come true even. And they're being asked to do things that are straight up illegal, straight up not in the best interest of humanity or humans. And what do they do at that point? And I think you can only judge somebody if you've actually been in their shoes, but it's easy to judge people if you've not walked in their shoes. And that's a difficult decision to make. And I'm sure it's all individuals that need to make that decision. Yeah. And it's based on their experience and their willingness to go forward and do those things to support their family, or to hope that maybe they can be the change within that group of people. But you're completely right when mentioning that it's the system that takes these people, and we're pumping out these people with these belief systems that can perpetuate the system's belief systems.
I'm so glad that you said that, because this conversation is not to vilify anyone or not to have anyone look at a police officer and say like, oh, you're a bad person because you're a police officer, because that's certainly not the case. When we think about these systems that are put in place and why they work so well, is because there are layers upon layers upon layers and systems upon systems upon systems that put people in the positions that they are in. And when we think about what we have to do when we are living in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. That one.
I cannot blame someone for how they choose to respond to life when they are living in survival mode.
Yeah.
When we are talking about attempting to live a life through a morally whole space that's grounded in connection and love and truth and honor, it is very hard to have that conversation with someone who is in survival mode.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so
Absolutely.
if we're utilizing a police officer as an example, you want to talk about blacklisted from their career, from the organization that they spent time, effort, and energy to potentially be a part of the change.
And while you're mentioning it, like what's coming up for me is, you know, I talk, it's not funny, but it's funny to me because I'm saying it now because I'm like thinking like, wow, I lived in fight or flight my whole life. Even as an attorney, I was in fight or flight. We literally fought for a living. But to think of police officers who finally enter, graduate, and they're like, I got my job. They literally are in fight or flight for their life. You never know what's going to happen when you get any call. Like, even if it's just like, I'm going to pull this person over for like this traffic, whatever, speeding. You never know who's going to be in that car and what mood they're going to be in. And same with if you get pulled over, you never know what officer you're going to get and what mood that officer is going to be in and what experiences he's had or she's had, and same for the people in the car. And so think about the career of like, they're in survival mode for real. And I never thought about it like that. So thank you for bringing that up because, you know, you say ACAB and honestly, like I could have personally taken this episode a totally different way if I were to speak about my personal beliefs in the policing system based on my personal experiences and what I've witnessed. But this actually has brought a different perspective to me today on this talking to you, because I never really thought about it in that way, that like they're actually living in survival mode. Not only to like, you know, I went this route and I have to pay my bills and feed my family, but like literally survival.
Yeah. And I think that for when we talk about the systems, right, there should be appropriate training for police officers to be able to energetically ground and regulate their nervous system, to be able to operate from a grounded space when your body is attempting to go in fight or flight, right? As a police officer or a firefighter or a lawyer, you are recognizing that this is a part of the job and that you are putting yourself in harm's way, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, for the job of itself. It just is an unfortunate part of the experience.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about how do we then support police officers so that they are able to be as best prepared when walking up to that car and not knowing who is in that car and how they may react and how they may respond. If they can handle that situation with the appropriate training, then maybe some of the end experiences, maybe those would have had different stories to them, you know?
I think it's, yeah, twofold there. That's what's coming up for me is one, like, where's the love? Like, when that human being is walking up to your car, or when that human being is sitting in their car, and these two humans are getting ready to interact, and not a pleasant way.
Yeah.
What can you do to make it more pleasant? What can you do to show compassion for that person?
Or to show your own humanity. Like,
Yeah.
I am a human, I'm in this uniform, but I'm a human, and I see that you are also a human. And I recognize you're not going to be too happy about seeing my face right now.
Yeah.
So how can I, as the enforcer, because at that point, it's like a teacher to a student, you know, like at that point, that person has the power.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to approach these situations with a higher level of knowledge and compassion.
And the second, well, let me just continue on the first part real quick. I do understand what you're saying, because they do have the power. I mean, they literally have the gun. They have it all. They can do whatever they want, apparently, or so we've learned. But something that I've recently been practicing, not too recently, but I would say within the last like year or two, is like when an officer would pull up to me and like, because I'd be speeding, and they would like roll down the window, I'd be like, yeah, what? Like, just like, you're bothering me. You're wasting my time. If you're giving me a ticket, write the ticket, no small talk, and get out of my way, because I don't like you people.
Yeah.
But recently, the last like year or two, especially like on this journey of healing and finding love and compassion for people, I'm like, and I'm such like an experimenter, like, let me see. Let me see if I talk to this person, like, not like, hi, how are you? But like genuinely, like, hey, how's your day? Like, sorry you caught me speeding, or whatever comes up, but like genuinely showing compassion for this human being that's on the side of the road and having to make a decision and living in survival mode, just like actually showing them compassion. I have not had a ticket since then.
I know, that's right.
And it's not like, the intention is to not have a ticket,
right,
necessarily. But the intention is also not to be like, let me just say my what is the words? My like, not pleasures, not
your piece,
my like niceties. Not just let me say like, hey, how are you? It's like, no, hey,
connect.
How are you? And so I think it's twofold there.
Absolutely.
If you have that ability to do so, and you're not just like gun in the face and hi, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like if you are able to be in that
space,
nervous, that space, like I've been blessed every time I've been pulled over. I've been given that opportunity to actually have a conversation. And then point twofold, out of all the times that I have deposed police officers in not serious cases, like some serious where there's been serious injuries, but mainly car accidents. And I asked them about their training. It is abysmal, the training that they have. Is there mental and emotional training? Absolutely not. And these are people, for the most part, that have come straight out of high school or like got their GED and then went straight in. So it's not like they've had a whole lot of real world
life experience.
And so this is their like training, and it does not exist. Yeah. And that is a huge thing that could really help humanity if we were to implement like the mental and emotional training for our peace officers that are living in survival mode.
Well, we think about just how hard life is for an everyday person. I mean, every single person doing some sort of job has to deal with crazy aspects of their job. I mean, even back when I worked in retail, oh my God, like some of the things that I would experience and some of the things that people would say to me, I would be like, oh my gosh, you're so mean. Like, and I'm like 17 at the time, and I'm like, I'm literally just a girl. Why are you treating me this way? You know, and things that as a 17-year-old you'd have to deal with, crazy people, servers, baristas, any sort of person in customer service alone. Like, you're dealing with so much energy, and you're dealing with that energy from people that are dealing with their own shit. And so if we as a collective society access the tools, or the tools became more available, or education was more prevalent across our community and our society, then that shifts, you know? It's like me as a teenage girl, 17, I probably wouldn't have had to go through what I went through and deal with what I dealt with if the people that were coming into my space had undergone some of that healing, you know, and vice versa. Like, that's why I talk about that ripple effect and how important it is and why it means everything. And I want to circle back to something that you said earlier, your first point, talking about how your approach has shifted when it comes to the way that you speak to police officers whenever you get pulled over.
And all humans.
And all humans, right?
Yeah.
I was watching this video the other day, and it was this girl, and she was filming herself and her partner, and there were these what are they called? The people that come to your door, and they're Jehovah's Witnesses, and trying to like speak to them about, you know, making Jesus Christ your savior and yada yada. And she was saying that her boyfriend always is very intentional about the conversations that he has, and he meets them with kindness and love instead of just slamming the door in their face and being like, get the fuck off my property, da da da, which is how I'm sure that they're probably spoken to quite often. Mm-hmm. And it was saying, someone had written a comment saying that the church or the institution doesn't have Jehovah's Witnesses going out into these spaces to try to get people to come in to their church. Like, if that happens, then that's a plus, it's a benefit. But really, it's to reinforce to these people how scary the outside world is, how mean people are, and how the outside world is not safe.
Oh, to their own
people, their own community.
Whoa.
If you think about, as a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not very well versed on, you know, what that kind of life looks like and how much freedom is available and how much indoctrination and is planted into their consciousness. But if I don't have very much connection to the outside world, and most of the connection that I have to the outside world are these sort of conversations that I have with people as I'm approaching their property, attempting to spread the gospel, and this is how I'm being received, then I'm going to think that the world is not a safe place. Yeah. And I'm going to think that people are not generally nice or caring, and that this world wants absolutely nothing to do with being saved, that they are completely content in their sin, and that it's just a not good place to live, or not good place to be, that I'm safer in the church, you know? And so the way that we speak to people can either perpetuate their belief about people, it can reinforce that, or it can change, like, wow, this person wasn't like that. Or if I'm, you know, pulled over, knock on wood, I really don't want to be pulled over anytime soon, and the police officer is like kind to me and speaks to me with dignity and respect, with or without the ticket, that experience to me will be like, wow, I'm so grateful that I had that type of experience with the police officer, especially because my other experiences have not been the case. Yeah. You know, how that one interaction can really be the difference in the way that people perceive other people, mm-hmm. and the way that people live their lives.
Yeah. I think, again, it all comes back down to, what are your systems that you have in place? Like, how do you make sure that if you are this type of person that's like, oh, this world is so dark and this world is so hard, and so I've got to be dark and hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, what systems or practices can you have in place down to the daily that help you see the light, feel the light, the love, the compassion, and show up in those ways? And for me, I have experimented with this so many times, where if I sit and I meditate and I do my breath work in the morning, I'm going to have a fucking great day. And I'm going to be so nice to all the people I come across, and they're going to be so nice back to me because mm-hmm. the energy is there and it's floating around and it's all yummy goodness. But if I go like 3 or 4 days and I don't meditate in the morning and I'm just out here getting shit done and being in the 3D world, on that third or fourth day, I'm going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not okay. And the people that I'm talking to are not okay. And then I'll be like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing my practices. Yep. And it's not just meditating and breath work. It's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual every day.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about House of Rhythm is that you have access to all of those things, whether that's just through a simple yoga class. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get a little bit of breath, a little bit of movement. I'm going to be able to connect into myself. I'm going to be able to feel grounded, meditate, all of that, right? You can get that daily there through all the different yoga classes. You can get that energetic release through sound bath. You can get that community connection and existing in a space that is light with other people that are light. I offer my women's circles there, and I can't tell you the response that I get from the women that come into these spaces and that share their deepest, darkest truths, and the fact that they're able to be received and seen and heard and valued and never judged. Could you imagine, like our listeners, could you imagine being able to go into a space where you could be your true, authentic self, feeling whatever it is that you feel, good or bad, light or dark, happy or sad, and know that you are going to be held for who you are and where you are in that moment? How healing that is, how healing that can be. And if you do so consistently. And so spaces like House of Rhythm quite literally hold that catalyst for change, but it's completely up to you as the person to take the steps that you need to take in order to get to those spaces, to see the light. If you are surrounding yourself in darkness, if you're surrounding yourself with people who are of that frequency, yeah, of course that's going to be your reality. Of course that's going to be your everyday. When you are in spaces with people that are light, that show hope and excitement for the future, there's a reason why like attracts like. There's a reason why when you are with someone that is just happy, it's contagious. You feel that. The same thing when it comes to the darkness. And so your practices, your community, what you do consistently, your belief system, all of that matters. And House of Rhythm, who is our sponsor of the season, is one of the key holders of exactly what it is that we truly crave. It's just about getting there.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning the community part, because for House of Rhythm, I feel like the community is the key for me. When I had the Goddess Yoga a couple nights ago, and the women that came there just because they had been working at the coffee shop next door, and they're like, I want to check this out. Yeah. And they were brave enough to go there for the first time. And it was like,
and be vulnerable.
And not only in the way that they moved their body, but what they vocalized and shared, what was ever on their heart, and to be witnessed and seen and heard and know that it was a safe space there. And alongside of that, like wherever you're at on your journey, you just show up however you feel comfortable. Even if you didn't want to share anything, you don't have to share. Or if you just want to say like, I'm really going through it right now. Or if you want to tell us all the details, and then move your body as intensely or not as intensely. So it's just, I think, finding, again, your community, and House of Rhythm repetitively shows me that that is such a healing space for community to grow.
Yeah. I think for me as a teacher and as a space holder, I feel honored to be able to walk in through those doors at sometimes as a teacher and sometimes as a student. Like I've chosen that space as the space where I go to receive my healing and where I go to be held by my community. And it's this energetic exchange of seeing you for who you truly are and then seeing the you for where you're at right now. You know what I mean? It's like if you walk into that space and you're really going through it, no one's going to hold that against you. If you're not feeling too happy, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling angry, you're not going to be labeled as a sad or angry person because of how you're showing up in that space that day.
Especially if you keep showing up, because then we can all witness each other growing.
Exactly.
So it's like, maybe you do show up like sad and dark a few times, but then eventually the light's going to start to shine because you're showing up.
Yep. I've seen countless people who have been with us consistently and just seen their light just really just expand. And I'm going to do a shout out for our girl Tia, you know, who is just really out here just doing the damn thing and showing up and showing out for herself and following the path that feels aligned to her and watching her expansion. Mm-hmm. And to know that that is exactly what is going to happen to you as a listener if you decide to show up for yourself, if you just decide to do it and to not allow fear or excuses to get in the way. I can't tell you someone that has come to an experience, at least that I've held or that I've experienced with you, where they have regretted showing up or that they didn't receive what it is, like something, whether that be what they were intentionally hoping to receive or whether that be, you know, oh, I came here to feel relaxed, but really I got smacked upside the dome about my daddy issues, which has happened to me many a times. I'll be like laying in meditation and then my daddy issues come up for me. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just here to relax. But no, I got to confront this because this is what's coming up for me today, you know? And in turn, that becomes a wound that you need to look at and to heal from. And so a special thank you to House of Rhythm for not only sponsoring this episode, this podcast, but also just continuing to be a bringer of the light and all of the wonderful, incredible instructors that offer there, because it takes a village, it takes a team, and the effort and the intention is palpable. You can see it and you can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's part of the system. It's a system that is working exactly as it should for the positive.
Yeah, and you can feel that. Yeah.
And you can feel that.
Yeah. Besides showing up to yoga classes, because I know like we've both been like, oh, I'm not doing yoga, like I'm teaching too much or whatever is going on. What are your other practices that you try to implement on the daily so that you can show up in a whatever way you want to show up?
Well, you know, I think for me, yoga plays a huge part in that journey, but it's I feel like I've been stepping away more from the physical movement and more into living and embodying my practice. And yoga really, truly as a whole is just about awareness, right? Awareness and coming back to yourself. And so for me, I've been very intentional about being aware of what my mind is doing, what my thoughts are saying, and actively making the choices to either accept that thought as, yes, that is truth. That is my true. I feel that I know that to be true. Or, oh, that thought is coming from a wound. That thought is coming from a place of lack. That wound is not true because I have concrete evidence and proof that disagrees with that thought. Mm-hmm. And so whether that is just general awareness through my everyday, like I've been losing it driving on these streets of San Antonio here lately. And Tiffany will be the first to agree because she'll be on the phone with me and I'm like going off. Road rage has always been one of the ways I felt safe in expressing my anger. Truly.
That's probably why you express it.
That's probably why I am so expressive. Also, shout out to Jordan Monique Todd. She is part of the reason why I have so much road rage because her and I, like, in high school, we were always driving around together. And she would be like, bleep, fuck this and fuck that and this person and go and use your blinker, you know? And I'm the same way. I'm like, drive, turn your fucking wheel, you know? And I've been working on that actively. I have been for maybe the past like year or so. And so my road rage isn't nearly as bad as it once was, but there are pockets and there are moments where I'm like, oh, this person is probably just like, oh, you know, they're probably just late to work and I'm going to send them love. You know, they're flicking me off and I'm going to send them love. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. And then other times where I'm like losing it. In the past few days, I feel like with whatever's going on in the stars right now and the planets, I've just been like, you know? And so I've really had to take a step back into myself and be like, girly pop, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. Because why are you angry right now? What is it that you're actually upset about? Are you freaking out and you're angry about the way this person is driving because you feel the need like you need to get to wherever it is that you're going? Baby girl, you're not late. And even if you are late, then you're just late. Then just accept it. Then that is what it is. And so after I have my mentee B, or if I catch it beforehand, I'm able to see that thought, recognize it, and then talk to myself thereafter and be like, girly pop, it's all going to be okay. Like, you are literally fine. Now, if someone almost hits me, then you know, that at that point is like my fight or flight, where I'm just like, rah, and then I have to re-regulate myself, you know? So mindfulness, recognizing the thoughts as they come, flipping that thought with another thought, and taking an action to ground myself, whether that be through breath or whatever. Journaling has become like something that I'm really, really fucking with right now, because I realize if I'm feeling anxious energy, I need to get it out. I need to get it out. And as of recently, journaling has just been a wonderful way for me to do that. Just to let my thoughts and my energy flow out on that paper, and literally it feels like I'm releasing it and it's gone, and then I can continue to scroll on TikTok or whatever it is that I want to do. You know what I mean? So those two practices, I think, for me, something that's seemingly so small that doesn't require very much effort but have been groundbreaking for me in my journey, like chef's kiss. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think, gosh, it's been such a journey, years and years of a journey. And where I'm at now is somewhat similar to what you've mentioned. Like, it's a ongoing all day thing. It's like, how many times can I come back to be present in my senses?
Yeah.
Like, how many times can I notice my thoughts? Because that's presence, whether you're, you know, playing with your thoughts and seeing where your thoughts go, doing the shadow work, or just being like, that's a weird thought, and coming back to yourself as much as possible. Breath work and meditation tend to be the thing that I go to in the morning to set myself right for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. I have been really bad at those practices because I know what's on the other end of them, and I'm a little bit nervous about them. Nature and hiking is like another way that I reground myself, like being outside with my dogs. Journaling used to be my thing for years, and like recently, like the past few months, I've stopped doing that. I find when I'm journaling, there's nothing there, like nothing's coming up. It's just like me being like, dear diary, I went to the grocery today. And it's like, why am I doing this?
Writing just to write.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's other practices that I have that I feel like help.
You love to dance a little bit.
I do love to dance. Movement, yoga, dancing is definitely like a clearing for me. And I think music lately has really been my thing. Like music that makes me feel something. Like, I'm not like trying to push my feelings away, but music has been bringing me back to myself, because I can like lose it in the music, where it's like I'm in the lyrics, and so it's like I am present. Even though I'm losing myself in the music, like I'm present in what the sensories that are going on. Yeah, that are going on. Yeah, I think that's kind of what my practices are right now.
Yeah, it seems like there's preventative, and then there's like post care, right? Like you have different techniques to ground yourself and set yourself up for the day, like your meditation, and then there are things that you can do in the thick of it, like in the heat of the moment. And so if we're able to do both of those things, then oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Right? You can ground yourself, set yourself up. And then as you're going throughout your day, you know, you have different ways to come back to yourself or move through the funk as it comes.
I've been really trying to become more routine. I hate a routine. I hate it. I think it sounds so boring. I'm like, ew, you have structure. A routine? Like, that's so Virgo of you. I'm like, how boring. Like, why do you want discipline and structure? But we're all being called to that as a society of like, get your system, structures, discipline in place on the daily. Like, I don't care what it is, just do it and do it every day, because you're laying the foundation for your legacy. You're laying the foundation to like keep going. Next year is year 1. And it's like the beginning of whatever it is we've been dreaming about building for the last 8, 9, 10 years. We're finally being asked to build and to go forward. And we need a solid, stable foundation to do that. And we can't do that unless we are disciplined. Yeah. And so I've noticed myself grasping little discipline things every day. Mm-hmm. Like I have this like spleen meridian, what is it called? Like you put it underneath your tongue. Mm-hmm. And so I'll do that every morning. I'll grab my jade stone and my other stones and I'll like say my little prayers. And then I've got like an energy spray where I ask to keep my energy for the day and to not take on anybody else's energy. And my prayers, that is like, I'll be driving and praying. Yeah. I'm alone a lot, which is like, I've come to really love, and I am speaking all the time, if not to my dogs, then to my spirit team, and saying prayers and saying gratitude. And honestly, that has been like, that's it for me.
I heard a new term for the Most High, for the Almighty. Do you want to hear it?
Of course I do.
Gus.
Gus?
God, universe, source. Right?
It reminds me of Gus the mouse on Cinderella.
Speaking of Gus.
Gus.
We're talking to Gus, honey.
I love that. Wait, but it could also be like GUSS, and on the end, the extra S is spirit team. Boom. Or gust.
Gust. Yeah.
I like that. Hey, Gust. I'm here.
Well, because I whenever I say my prayers, I'm always like, God, universe, source,
spirit team.
I do. I'm like, hey, and then I've added in grandma, because I'm like, girl, I know you're here. Yeah. I'm like, actually, let me reverse.
But she's part of your spirit team.
I know, but
you're focusing on her right now. I want to talk
to her specifically. I'm like, hey, girl, I'm here.
Yeah.
I know you're here. Let me call you in first, because the other names are unknown, but yours it is. And I know that you have been trying to talk to me, so let me give you the honor of being the first one to call in. But
yeah, I do God, spirit team, in my highest interest and for my highest self. Because if you're calling in a spirit team, you might have some spirits that are not here for your highest self. Yeah. So as it happens, I think you need to definitely have a disclaimer, y'all, if you do that. And then I have found myself doing a lot more prayers for other people. Yeah. And situations in life. And so when I'm doing that, I'll call in their spirit team. Yeah. And their highest interest and for their highest self. And then because I don't think that all the ascended masters and angels are on my spirit team, which if you are, like, what up? But I will call them in when it's a big thing that I'm like praying. I'm like,
Michael,
I need all of the ascended masters. Yeah. I need all of the archangels, all of you motherfuckers right here, right now. This is big. Come through.
911. Yeah, 911 alert. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that has been, I don't know, that's just where I'm at now.
So to end this episode, get your systems in place.
Question the systems that you have for yourself.
Question the systems that you have for yourself first and foremost, because it can be so easy to point the finger at the systems that exist outside of us. But if you look internally and figure out what systems are you abiding by personally through belief systems and through actions that are no longer serving you, then first and foremost, you must address those and make those changes. And as you continue to do that, then we as a collective society can work on together, or automatically, innately, through you doing your work, those systems will start to change. The more people that connect with more people, the more people that share this message, yada, yada. So
everything's energy. So it's like if you change your energy, if you change your energy, and then everyone around you starts to change the energy.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it for the best of humanity, which, by the way, includes you.
Yeah.
Then it's going to reflect in our systems.
Exactly. So your homework is to do the work. If you're listening to this episode, it's because you're
Confront
being
yourself.
called to do the work. And you can't hide from that.
Yeah, and if you're here listening to this, you're already on the path.
Yeah.
And there's no turning around.
There's no turning around. Sorry about that, Henny.
Just like a little like PS note, like little secret, maybe
Yeah.
not so secret. We've tried to turn around.
There's no going back, Henny.
You are on this path and you can either do it kicking and screaming and slow it down, or you can just go balls to the wall and implement your systems and always be questioning yourself.
Yeah.
And the things that you hear and the things that you believe.
And question this podcast. Question the things
Yeah.
that we've said. How have the things that we've said resonated for you? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And allow that to be your truth to guide you. We
Love
are not the messiahs
Nope.
of this world. We are just two wooed up girls on
Goddesses.
the couch. Yeah. On the couch.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Question us. Put it in the comments, like if you disagree with us or you have a question or you want to discuss something,
Let us know.
Let us know. We love to kiki. We love to talk. We love to expand our minds. We love to see other perspectives. And I know that you and I have changed our perspective on things probably several times on this journey.
Absolutely.
So it's just a continuation of growth. Just start.
Yeah.
Just start.
And thank you so much for
House of Rhythm.
House of Rhythm for being our wonderful sponsor once again for this season. We're so grateful. We're so thankful. And we're honored to be a part of your team when it comes to getting the word out here and doing the work one episode at a time.
We're only stronger together. I'll do the other one with my pinky up.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye. Bye.